Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining Luxent's webinar, Ready, Set, NetSuite, a demonstration of NetSuite ERP. In today's webinar, we will give you a quick introduction to Luxent and NetSuite, followed by a demonstration of the powerful features that NetSuite has, and then we will close out with an overview of NetSuite pricing and packaging. If you have any questions as we move throughout the demonstration, please put your questions in the Q&A panel, and we will be able to answer them either live as Ben moves through a demonstration or at the end of the webinar when we are completed. Next, I would like to introduce you to our Luxent team here that we have on the webinar today. We have Vivian Kina on the call, Luxent's president and CEO. Vivian has been in the ERP space for 20 plus years and knows all the ins and outs of NetSuite. Next up, we have Ben Katerberg, the director of our NetSuite practice and chief solution architect. Ben comes to you with 10 plus years of ERP experience and a wealth of industry best practices. And finally, myself, Brooke Geipus, a sales executive here at Luxent with experience in the food and beverage and medical device space. Alrighty, let's get started. I'm going to pass you over to Vivian.
Great, thanks, Brooke. You can go to the next slide. So just a little bit about Luxent. We've been around for quite some time. We're celebrating our 14th year, located in Southern California, but have resources across the US. And we're what you call a premier solution partner, which is really someone who can help a customer through the licensing, the implementation, and then help them ongoing for support and to help them grow. We became a premier partner about 7 years back. And really just trying to, because we found out that a lot of customers were either getting exactly the right software or getting sometimes too much software that they needed. So we really thought it was important for us to help them through the alignment of their requirements and selling the solution to them and then helping them ongoing. Our tenure and our experience is deep. You know, you'll find that we have 10 plus years on as consultants, as business consultants, and then a lot of expertise in other areas of the business. So we really try to help companies not only with their NetSuite implementation, but just their overall business process and optimizing that. We're also a certified cloud developer, which means that we can develop on
Oops, it looks like we lost Vivian there. So I will pick up where she left off. We are also a Suite Cloud development partner, which means we can develop on the NetSuite platform. And our focus here at Luxent is on startup to mid-market companies, specifically in the manufacturing, distribution, service, and software spaces where we have the most of our experience. Next up here is just a quick slide that shows a little bit about our customers that we have here at Luxent. Now, this is just a handful of them. This is by no means all of them, but there may be some names here that you recognize or names that you recognize in your specific vertical or space that you guys do business in. So we are very proud of all the customers we have, and we are very happy to be helping them with all of their NetSuite needs. Next up, we have Ben Katerberg to give you guys a little bit more insight into NetSuite as well as the demonstration. Ben?
Hello, everybody. Very good to be with you here today. So I'm Ben Katerberg, Chief Solution Architect here at Luxent. I've been implementing ERP systems for over a decade with organizations of all different sizes and industries. And I've also gone through implementations as a customer in your shoes, working with a chosen consulting firm. So I've got the experience kind of on both sides. So I've got some good insights into kind of what you should be looking for in a partner, as well as kind of the leading practices, how best to move your company forward with any ERP implementation. So NetSuite, obviously, you're all here because you've heard a little bit about NetSuite. NetSuite was the first cloud company. It was an ERP that was built on the cloud for the cloud back in the late 90s. They have been doing it from the beginning. It started as a net ledger platform that was meant for purely financials. It's a big kind of financial hub that was at the base of where it all started. And it's quickly grown. You can see here, we're up to over 37,000 customers around the world. And just to kind of show you that growth trajectory, over 6,000 new customers within the last year. So that is tremendous growth. And that growth also is happening not just in the US, but internationally as well, over 217 countries. As you're all here today, one of the next questions here is, what are the benefits? So you'll see the vast majority of organizations, when they decide they want to move towards an ERP, is they need increased visibility. That may be financial visibility, operational visibility, but the main piece is they need a central hub of their business, a single source of truth that allows them to maintain more confidence with any sort of controls, whether they're SOX compliance, regulatory controls, etc. Once you are on an ERP such as NetSuite, you do have the agility to be able to transition and move quickly. You don't have to pull data from lots of different systems and crunch all the numbers before you can decide to pivot and move in different directions. Also, with a ERP such as NetSuite, it allows for more collaboration amongst your employees. There is no sticky notes. You don't have to collaborate via email. It's all on the platform. And as we jump into the demonstration, you'll be able to see some of the workflows and reminders and other elements to the system that allow for increased collaboration amongst resources at your organization. And then obviously productivity is going to be a number one benefit because when everything is all centralized, you can introduce more and more automations to your business processes as well. And then just overall, I think this is a very common question we get from starter size companies is, when is the right time to look at an ERP? In my experience, the number one factor that really does drive organizations towards moving to an ERP is regulatory and audit controls. So maybe they have GMP controls, SOX compliance. Becomes a lot easier when you move your business into NetSuite. Other considerations might be the introduction of inventory into your business. Inventory management, especially lot controlled or serialized inventory, becomes very, very easy with NetSuite. Also, another consideration might be volume. Maybe you are starting to grow and scale quickly, so the number of sales or purchases just becomes too large to manage. That might be a good reason to look at NetSuite. And then other considerations might be, maybe you have disconnected systems. There's many man hours being used to manipulate, consolidate data, trying to get more financial and operational visibility. And this is a great thing that NetSuite can do for you, which does help improve productivity and visibility. So just kind of looking high level here at some of the financial features of NetSuite. Once again, NetSuite was built as a financial systems first. We have lots of different things that we can do with NetSuite, from revenue management to financial planning and analysis, as well as even more global features. So as you start to grow and scale, potentially move into different countries, different currencies, NetSuite can continue to grow and scale with you throughout that journey. So as I mentioned, NetSuite was built as a financials first platform. but over time, NetSuite has really grown to become a full suite that can really operate all aspects of your business. So from the graphic you see here, obviously NetSuite is at the center, but you can plug in other modules in NetSuite, such as NetSuite CRM features and functionality to help grow customers. You can plug in HR features, payroll, performance management, a lot of inventory and order management, supply chain features, as well as more advanced financial features into NetSuite. But once again, you don't have to do all of it at once. You can start purely with just financials. And as your business grows and scales, you can start plugging in additional modules as you grow and scale. So the other thing that NetSuite has done is they've created industry-specific solutions. So you can see here, obviously, there are food and beverage, manufacturing. A lot of you might be in the food and beverage space or medical device manufacturing. We have vertical specific solutions that are designed and pre-configured, and they come with your NetSuite package on day one. So as we jump into the system, what I'll be sharing is examples of some of this pre-configuration for things like roles and dashboards and reports that are vertical specific that you get delivered to you on day one. So with that, let me go ahead and start sharing my NetSuite screen. All right, so the first thing you'll notice here is this is a web page. NetSuite is on the web. It was built in the cloud. I just have to go to any browser and type in netsuite.com, enter my credentials, and it'll take me to my default roles landing page. So here's my URL here as my default landing page for this particular demonstration account. I'm logged in currently, as you can see on the upper right-hand side, as a controller of a manufacturing organization. And you can see I have lots of tabs up top. I can just hover over these. There's different kind of navigation paths, but also just for simplicity and use, these roles were designed for specific types of individuals performing specific kinds of daily tasks and routines. So earlier in our demonstration, we talked a little bit about some of the increased kind of collaboration and workflows in NetSuite. On the left-hand panel here, you'll see something called reminders. There's a reminders portlet in all of the pre-configured roles. And all of these reminders have been pre-configured specific to, in this case, what a controller might do of an organization this size. So I see I have a reminder that I have 4 bills to approve. I have 2 purchase orders to approve. And once again, the roles can be tweaked and modified based on what that particular organization's controller might do. But the vast majority of what you have to do when you're implementing your ERP is just little minor tweaks from a pre-configured role. So maybe I want to see my bills to approve. It is browser functionality, so I can just hold Control on my or Shift on my keyboard and open new tabs. So I can work on multiple things at once. I don't lose my progress. I can have as many tabs as I want all open up top if you're like me. So I've got a reminder open for bills to approve. And here I have my list. I can see the dates of them, the vendor, and a note or memo that the system might populate, or maybe I have internal workflows to populate this and the amount. And in this case here, here's a bill from June 1st. and I can see there is an order reference to it. So let me open up that bill. And once again, it does tell me why I am seeing this bill, why it needs to be approved. In this case, the bill and PO amount are exceeded. So I have an existing purchase order. I can see linkages. So here's my existing purchase order. I can open up that PO if I want to look at that separately. I'll open that in a new tab. But I can see already the note told me that the bill and PO amount comparison, the amount is exceeded. So what I expect to pay this vendor from my purchase and what they're billing me for, there is a difference. So on my bill, I have a quantity of 7, and they're charging me $11.87. On my purchase order, I can see I ordered 6, I received 6, I was billed for 7. So once again, I have this visibility into the whole web of transactions, so I can research exceptions like this. So in this case, as the controller, I might determine that I need to follow up with this vendor and have them resubmit a bill because they charged me too much for my purchase. Some of the other things you will see in here, these are dashboard tiles. They're essentially little shortcuts. So I opened up a cash flow statement. Maybe let's do a balance sheet report. So this is our out-of-the-box balance sheet report. Obviously, I can see here assets. I've got my liabilities and equity accounts all structured in this kind of default format here. Maybe I want to do a pivot of my balance sheet and show me what my balance sheet looks like by location if I have multiple locations at my organization. Here I can do a pivot, and then I can see things like, here's the value of my inventory in stock in this location versus this location. All of these reports, they are real-time live. If I were to go receive inventory in this warehouse right now and refresh this, I will see updated numbers. And I can click on the numbers. I can drill into them. This is that auditability of the system, where if something doesn't look right to me, I can click into it and see what makes up the underlying balances. So in this case here, I can see several item receipts. I can drill all the way down to the individual transaction level, and I can do this analysis to drill into why something doesn't look right. Maybe somebody posted it in the wrong period. Maybe somebody entered an extra number at the end of a transaction. So once again, I can do that root cause analysis starting from the financial side all the way into the individual transaction. Also, if you're coming from something like QuickBooks over to NetSuite, one of the best improvements over a system like QuickBooks is, especially if I'm inventory based, I'm running transactions. These transactions are having both physical inventory impacts, as well as associated financial impacts, all tied into one within the transaction itself. So I no longer have to separately track inventory valuation. It's all built into the native transactions and the transaction flows. So maybe in this case, it's an item receipt. Maybe it's a warehouse person who receives a purchase order that I'm expecting for some raw materials. As soon as that warehouse clerk receives that item into the warehouse, I've immediately hit my inventory asset account, and I've increased my quantity available now that I can use for building maybe a new product or for shipping directly out to a customer if I'm in a distribution model. Let's run an income statement as well. So this is the general kind of look and feel and structure of the out-of-the-box income statement in NetSuite. Let's say I want to look at my income by product classification. So I can do a little pivot by this product class. Refresh my report. And now I can see things like revenue by product class. I know I've got a very diverse company in my demo account here. So I have some revenue in my coffee division. I have some revenue in frozen foods, some revenue in medical accessories or medical device instruments themselves, snack foods. But once again, just a simple little pivot. All I had to do is choose one of my financial segments to pivot on. And then I can see the full breakout of total revenue versus individual productized kind of class revenues. And once again, drill down capabilities. I can drill down into the individual transaction level and see this was an invoice for $30 that made up that revenue amount. The other thing I have access to is, once again, full ERP. It has linkages to, in this case, this is the invoice. I can see the original sales order from a hyperlink. I can drill into customers and customer specific activity. So I have this BD test customer here that this invoice was for. I can go directly to that customer specific record and validate, transaction history, or really anything I want to find out about the customer. I have these different sublists reports that are associated with this customer, or even have a separate kind of dashboard view of my individual customer. This dashboard view is going to show me things like some of these sales KPIs, unbilled orders. I can look at my AP aging specific for this customer. And all I'm doing navigating is just kind of going from one thing to the next, from a financial report down to a transaction, down to an individual customer, and then customer specific kind of financial information here. So there's my aging report. Next thing you'll see here is there's lots of navigation shortcuts. What you will find with NetSuite is there's always more than one way to do the same thing. So I could navigate from these center tabs if I'd like. I can go to my list of vendors from here, or I have a shortcut where I can just go to my list of vendors right here from this master data shortcut. I can go directly to transactions. So I can pull up a journal entry form. I can create a budget here, just one click. I can pull up reports from a shortcut as well. NetSuite has this concept of memorized transactions. Maybe you have fixed assets that you want to post monthly depreciation for. You can set up these memorized transactions and have them automatically post every single month for a particular number of periods. So here I can see there is an invoice, memorized invoice transaction every single month. The next time it'll post is on Christmas Day here. And then I can see the history of the transactions that have posted on the 25th of every single month through last month. And these transactions can be automatic where they post on their own, or they can have them trigger reminders and show up on my reminder kind of workflow dashboard that tell me I need to post them, maybe make a slight tweak occasionally to those memorized transactions. There are pre-built KPIs in here. So once again, still logged in as the controller. I have KPIs that are specific to controllers within kind of manufacturing companies of this size. So I have sales, looking at this month versus last month, expenses, revenue, inventory, lots of different KPIs here. And once again, these KPIs, these reports, they come pre-configured on your dashboards and your roles when you buy NetSuite. Let's do a little pivot here. Let's look at another role. So let's take a look at our supply chain manager. Get rid of some of my extra tabs here. So once again, similar look and feel for my kind of landing page for my supply chain manager. I have center tabs. My center tabs up top might be slightly different based on the supply chain manager role versus a controller role. I have a reminders portlet, which is controlling a lot of my workflows. The specific kind of reminders for this manufacturing organization's supply chain manager is related to items to order. So these would be items that perhaps I have NetSuite planning for me, and these tell me when I need to order more of these items. So I can open up this items to order. Same thing on the manufacturing side. So if I'm a manufacturer, like food and beverage or medical device manufacturer, I might use work orders in NetSuite. And so this reminder here is going to tell me I have one assembly to order. So I can pop that open, show you what that might look like as well. So here's the order items. I have different kind of planning methods. In this case, I have several items that NetSuite is informing me to purchase. I have some where I'm a preferred vendor, and here's the quantity that it tells me to order. And here is some pre-configured pricing for this particular item from this vendor. So literally all I have to do is mark the lines that I want, submit, and it creates my purchase orders for me. On the manufacturing side, so if I'm manufacturing a new batch of my product, I can find out from planning what I need to be building. And so here I can see, in this case, these are build points that trigger, tell me I need to build 396 of these. And just submit it. And once again, these are batch processes, so it might create 10 different purchase orders for me. It might create 10 different work orders for me. But the point is that these are able to be created in a more automated fashion. I still am playing my role as supply chain manager, analyzing, making sure I agree with a recommendation, or maybe I tweak some of those quantities, and then I submit them and they generate orders for me. So just refreshed my screen for my purchase orders, and I can see it created this purchase order and this purchase order, two different vendors, two different purchase orders. And then from here, obviously, I could move on and I could email those purchase orders to the vendor. I could print them out, mail them, whatever your method is that is preferred. And then that purchase order then becomes a trigger for the next person, which might be the warehouse. So they receive something at the loading dock, and now they have a purchase order to reference in the system. So once again, it's full kind of collaboration and workflow that's already built into NetSuite. Same thing on my work order side here, right? It would generate some work orders, and then I would have component visibility to the warehouse that maybe they need to pull raw material inventory from the warehouse to start building a new product. You'll also see here, I'll have planning alerts as a supply chain manager. So I can see some planning alerts for late work orders. Any of these are kind of customizable. I can create any kind of reminder I want based on live kind of data queries. I do see a question in the chat here about emailing a PO to a vendor directly from NetSuite. Absolutely. So if I have, let me pull up a work order here, or sorry, a purchase order. NetSuite has a pre-built integration with email. So I can actually email directly from NetSuite and it synchronizes with my email. So in this case, I have a purchase order. On my communications tab of my purchase order, I could literally just go into edit mode, click this checkbox for to be emailed and save, and it's going to automatically send an email to the preferred email associated with my vendor here. And once it sends that, I actually get to see the whole history of email exchange. So the vendor responds, it's going to show up in this history in NetSuite as well as my email. Some of the KPIs here for our supply chain manager. Obviously, I have visibility into my inventory positions. This case, it's looking at end of this month versus the end of last month. Once again, drill in capabilities. I can click on the numbers. It takes me directly to the report here. I can see this is an inventory valuation summary report, and I can find by item type. So in this case, assemblies versus inventory items, or individual item SKUs themselves. Here's the inventory valuation. Here's how many I have on hand, and some calculated kind of percentages based on what percentage of my inventory value is wrapped up in these items. You'll also notice on any of NetSuite's reports, I have all of these export options. So if I am an organization, I know a lot of startups love Excel. They love to stick with Excel even when they have an ERP. NetSuite's designed where you shouldn't have to always go out to Excel, but you do have export options of any of these reports, whether it was the balance sheet report, income statement, any of our inventory valuation, or even transaction reports. You can pull up graphics. I was a little nervous. I didn't know what I was going to expect there, but here's a graphic, just a one-click button here, and it's going to show me I have a lot of the value of my inventory tied up in this specific item, right? That graphic really does a lot for analyzing my data right here for me on screen. I have the ability to click one button, it exports to Excel, or I have a PDF option, CSV, Word. I can print this directly. I can email this. Maybe I just want to email it one time, or I can even schedule this report to run. And this report, when I schedule it to run, I can specify that I want to run more than once. Maybe I want it to run on a weekly schedule and have it run for the next 10 weeks. And it's going to send a copy of this report to whoever I specify as my recipients. And it can either embed it into the email or use it as an attachment on an email, whatever values of that report at the time that it executes. So it can send to people who are not NetSuite users as well. So that's usually a pretty good use case, is if I don't have access to NetSuite, but I want to send reports to those people, I can set those up to run on schedules or email them ad hoc. So just kind of coming down a little further onto my supply chain manager's dashboard. Obviously, I have those KPIs that we were just discussing. I have some other kinds of inventory KPIs that are looking at things like inventory turns, days on hand of inventory, valuation, COGS, all of these metrics here directly on my dashboard, summarized for me. I have some other kind of shortcut links on the left-hand side here. I can see things like my inventory profitability reporting, material shortage reports. Just popping open a couple of these here. If I wanted to check availability of a particular item, I can certainly do that with some of these built-in reports. So for our inventory availability, let's just do an item here, just to give you a sense for what this might look like. I can see here, I have a quantity on hand of 11 of this particular item. 9 are available, as 2 are currently committed to existing orders. So just from the inventory standpoint, I have kind of different statuses of inventory, right? I can see I have 11 of these physically in my warehouse. I have orders that are going to take 2 of them, and I have 9 that are remaining and open that aren't committed to anything. Material shortage report. I got lucky here looking out the next 4 weeks. I don't have any material shortages. And then inventory profitability reporting. I'd be able to see by item, by SKU here, how much revenue, and then looking at my gross profit versus how much I've sold here. I'd have to backdate this to get some real data to show up. Apparently I didn't sell in December. There we go. So I can see some revenue here. It's 100% of my revenue for this time frame anyways. But once again, full drill down capabilities. I can see more detail. It's made up of 2 invoices here, can drill into the individual invoice. And once again, I can keep going with the whole web of transactions and master data. Right. Let's do one more here. We'll do another perspective. Maybe there's a sales manager and a sales perspective. So once again, new role, same general look and feel. I have, once again, center tabs here. These might look a little bit different than what my supply chain manager or controller role appeared. Same reminder concept with different workflows, but in this case, I have different ones for my sales manager. So I have some sales orders to approve. I've got cool metrics in here, like here's customers with no activity in the past month. And this one could be configured to have a different time frame. Maybe my customers don't buy every single month. Maybe they should buy, every several months. I can alter these slightly so that these reminders are more useful for my business. I have full CRM capabilities in NetSuite. So if I'm looking to build out my customer base, maybe I'm looking for more and more distributors for my product as a startup, I can start recording my distributor prospects and leads in NetSuite, start building kind of internal opportunities for those customers, and then start generating quotes directly out of NetSuite and sharing with those leads and prospects potential quotes for sales opportunities in NetSuite. All the while building reports with those transactions for things like my forecast, right? I can see here on my KPI as a sales manager, my forecast for this month made up of $15,424. I want to drill into that. It's going to show me a report of my forecast versus quota. And here, looks like this is my quota. I don't have any actual unless I maybe expand out my dates. But once again, NetSuite, I can do some of my sales planning as well in my projections. So I can create quotas and then obviously run forecast versus quota reports. I can create budgets. So maybe I have specific kind of sales budgets I want to monitor. And then I can run these native reports just to track my progress against those sales quotas and budgets. Some of the other KPIs in here, obviously tracking new opportunities, open opportunities, or maybe I lost some opportunities and I want to see, am I improving my opportunities won percentage over time? So I can look at some of these kind of metrics over time. Trend graphs, any one of my reports I create, I can put into a dashboard. So maybe I have very specific kinds of sales trends that I want to look at for maybe specific product lines. I can build out those specific reports and then just add it as a graph on my dashboard. So however I want to view that. Here's some customer activity. I can look at, quote conversion rate activity, all of this right here front and center. I don't have to search just a global search just to find whatever I'm looking for if I have my easy to use dashboards and metrics here. Let's try one last. Let's look at our open sales orders here. So once again, I've got a lot of activity. I've got over $1.5 million in open sales orders at this point. Various statuses. Some of these have shipped. Some of these have not shipped. Some of these are just pending billing, and everything else is complete. Once again, I can drill into specific customer data if I click on the customer, or I can drill into the specific transaction if I'm clicking on either the date or the amount. So let's say I want to just check out MeDo Industries. I seem to have several lines for MeDo Industries, my customer. All right, this is just my basic kind of customer master general view. I do have like financial tabs so I can see like balance information. Wow, this customer is very overdue in this case. I have other kind of reports directly for this customer on this 360 tab, like a customer scorecard, 12-month sales, top sold items to this customer, some of these easy to hit metrics, or even move to another kind of dashboard view of this same customer. So this is where I can see here, my AP aging detail for this customer. Because I did notice that that customer was very overdue. And here is the age of each of these open transactions. All right. Well, with that said, I am going to turn it back over to Vivian, who can talk to you a little bit about NetSuite pricing.
A lot of people think that NetSuite's expensive. So I'm going to go through some of the pricing for you to give you an idea of how it all works. First, I want to talk to you about us. So working with a NetSuite Solution Partner. So really, I just offer industry-specific guidance. So working with us versus NetSuite Direct, we're really able to help you more from a business perspective and ensure that you get the right modules that align to your business. Ensure you buy the right configuration. We give you that detailed expertise. So what I would tell you is that if you're, very simple industry, maybe quick startup, and we can do a quick startup configuration for you and align that. And then as your industry, if you're more food and beverage or medical device, we have that expertise to help guide you through those pieces and help give you some best practices in using the system more effectively. We work to establish a long-term relationship, one you can trust, and one you can count on for getting aggressive discounting, helping you with renewals, helping you with maybe as you continue to grow, giving you advice on the software, and just making sure you have a partner you can trust. When you're ready to buy, I was listening to Ben today, and there's probably so many things that today you're doing either manually or making decisions without the information that's available that he provided today, and saying, wow, when I'm making decisions, I don't have that type of information readily available. Just the control that you have with NetSuite is so great. But when you start to get more of your accounting requirements that become more robust, maybe you're adding subsidiaries, maybe you're going international. If you're starting to get warehouse inventory needs and you need to control your inventory, you'll have more visibility of your inventory. If you're on a legacy solution or the system today is limited, and just preparing for growth. I've had many companies come to us and say, gosh, we're getting big and we're starting to have way too much inventory. I can't do this manually anymore. We need an ERP in place. So just as you expand is when you start to look at a product like NetSuite. So how is it priced? So NetSuite has done a really good job of trying to start to work with companies that are on QuickBooks, that have a few users, that really just want to get started and have the needs of an ERP, but really don't want to pay the cost, right? So they've really structured it to be packaging for under 10 users, for mid-market, and then for larger companies. The starting rate of the user is $120. I will tell you that is the list price. We will work aggressively with you to get discounting on that price and lock that price in for you. And it just depends on what you want to start with. We always recommend starting with very, limited scope. Try to get users comfortable with it. Try to start with your financials, maybe some inventory management. A lot of companies are using CRM. The CRM within NetSuite is free. It comes with all the packages. So maybe start with some smaller instant of NetSuite and get the company comfortable with it and users confident, and then start to expand out. You can call us for budgeting. So we've been doing this webinar once a month, sometimes twice a month for the last few months. And please, in the chat, if you want to have a quick call on just getting 2024 budgeting, we can do that for you really quickly. We could set up a quick call within the next week or so, give you some numbers so you can get an idea, so you can see if you can consider it for next year. We really need the number of people that are going to be on the system, what system that you're currently on. Maybe some people are on just Excel or QuickBooks or some other CRM. Key functionality that you're looking for in phase one would be helpful. Some of the things that you're looking to do when you first bring in a system, and any third-party needs. Do you have EDI? Do you have a 3PL? Are you doing e-commerce today? What are those third-party needs? Because that would be either an integration or you could use one of the NetSuite products, depending on what you're doing. So those are some of the questions we'd be asking, but it really takes us about 30 minutes, and then we're able to get you a budgetary price for next year. So please let us know either in the survey or in the chat if you are interested in getting pricing. And I think with that, we're closing.
Yes, thank you. Alrighty, everyone. Well, thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat here. I'll give you about 30 seconds to a minute to put a question in the chat if you have one. If not, you guys are welcome to email us at sales@luxent.com with any questions that you guys might have. We also have a NetSuite pricing guide that is coming out in the next couple of weeks here. You guys will have the ability to request a copy of that pricing guide once this webinar has ended and you complete the post-webinar survey. Thank you everyone so much for attending our webinar today, and we hope that you guys have a great holiday season.